The Man and the Table Factory, TMatTF, entire series. I wrote these in a half-conscious daze, and that is why they are the way they are. Hi Joel. The Man and the Table Factory, the original. When the man told the other man about a secret about the light and dark, the first man went silent and listened to him. But afterwards, when the first man went to retell what the second man had said, he could not speak a word. The quote then was ingrained in his head forever, yet unable to be told. For example, when the man started his job at the table factory, after he read the rule paper over and out, when he finally tried to make a table it collapsed, and so did he. The idea of making his first table, and all the other tables afterwards, were the light. And the table falling over is the dark. But what if I said the factory was also dark? That wouldn't be that surprising if you've ever seen a table factory. However, if you look outside, on the other side of the man's designated work spot, you'll see that there is a light, a lamp that the man forgot to take with him, yet it's still on because the man also didn't turn it off. He can't see the table, he can't read the rule paper because it's too dark, he never brought his lamp, or even searched for any other light sources either. He didn't do anything. The rules, something that comforted the man, he gripped onto it like it was a raft, and he, a lost survivor in the ocean. Yet no matter how long he held onto that raft, once he found his way back to land he would have to learn to walk. The rules are words, a message being passed from person to person to relay their law. But the man is, well, man. He hasn't been written to perfection, he can't be, he's not a sign on a door. So once the man gets to land, he walks eventually well enough, he will learn to run soon, he looks for more, but we all know. The man will never fly. This is not what the second man was trying to convey to the first, this is what he decided he was saying, what he decided to read from his strings. He left feeling nothing, and the second man stayed knowing that he would never fly. But he can walk, move, skip, run even. And so when the man arrived to the table factory on the second day, he forgot to bring his lamp, he placed his eyes on the rules and finally asked for a match. He lit the flame. The room was illuminated with the dim glow, barely enough to see anything, he read. He was limping, not drowning anymore, it's a start. The rules was small and in dark Arial print. No. He can't do that. He doesn't want to do that, he wants to make tables, he doesn't want to do that, he just wants to make them. But why would they print that? How could they say that? Look at him through the cameras, they will see his tears on the table, the papers, their rules: avoid crying on the match, don't run, don't move, don't drown, don't do anything, said the man, and the table collapsed, and so did another, and the building started to get hotter, and the tables fell together, destroyed in wooden friction, making a spark against steel, marking the matches to light and consume him, and at last the table factory combusted into light, with no tear big enough, not even the ocean, to drench it. Thank you, man, men, factory, and deceitful eyes and rules and snakes for watching me as I collapsed with them. The Man and the Table Factory, Part 2. Long ago there was a man who worked at a table factory. This man was known to others as a co-worker or a friendly face, some even knew him as a friend. He liked coffee and staying up at night, they said, he would just stand there in the dark. He had quirks, yes, as any human does. For example, there was a woman who worked there too, she was a bit peculiar, she always wore the same mismatched shoes every day. And her husband, what an oddball, he only used red paperclips, no matter what. The man who worked at the table factory, though, he was quite the fellow. Some even thought he was a vampire or a beast in disguise just by looking at him. Not that he looked any different from a normal human, he looked just like you or me, just with the slightest hint of the uncanny valley. They never saw him work, never saw him come or go, never noticed him standing behind them, which caused for some awkward situations of bumping into each other. They didn't even know if he did any work at all. Yet he was never fired. He showed up to every meeting, however, but never to parties or celebrations. Well, one day at the table factory a fire started, and as usual, nobody could find the man. They searched until they could no more. Everybody in that factory building escaped, except of course for the man. The cause of the fire was unknown, but reports say it started in one of those dark rooms nobody there cared to visit. Now the factory is rebuilt, and everybody has returned to their regular busy lives. All but one. A man whose name was never heard, who could never be found. A man who wasn't saved, and was too late to save himself. The man who worked at the table factory. The Man and the Table Factory, Part 3, Café AU. It was a beautiful day in Washington. Pink petals blew in the wind and the sun cast warm light through the glass pane windows of the quaint shops on the streets. A man sipped his coffee in a nearby cafe, the warm glow on his face. "The Candlestick Cafe," said the sign hanging from the door. It was a small place, roof painted green and vines starting climbing the walls. The inside, though, was beautifully decorated with lights and greenery. The man continued to look out the window, people watching. It was one of his guilty pleasures, imagining himself in those interactions instead, able to communicate with another person without all of the weird looks or excuses to leave. He reached a hand up to his face to touch the burned, scarred skin. Perhaps it's for the best, though, better than having strangers stick their noses in his business. The bell ring of somebody entering the shop broke him out of his thoughts, thankfully so, lest his drink go too cold, again. The Candlestick Cafe always made the best cafe frappuccino coffee with extra vanilla cream and honey, also with caramel syrup and extra froth, his favorite order. He looked up towards the entrance and saw the man who had just entered staring at him, not like it was anything new. He'll have his gawk and then go on in life. A minute passed and the other man was still there, though, staring. His expression was strange, like he was trying to remember something. The expression that the sitting man started to share, looking back at his face. He looked strangely familiar. Suddenly he started to walk towards the table the man was sat at. He wore a thick dark jacket and dark pants, a strange outfit for spring weather. "I see you've found your light," the strange man laughed. "Not exactly what I meant by my words, but you seem alive enough. What you did," he tapped the table. And suddenly the man knew who he was. His eyes went wide as he looked at him. This face looking back at him was his own, long before he learned his lesson, the secret of light and dark. The Man and the Table Factory, in space. In the story of the Man and the Table Factory, in space, the man, now a citizen in the Tabler's Imperium, strives to rise the ranks of this new society and secure a seat at the high table. After being cryogenically frozen for a millennia, the man is woken up because of an accident involving a table bot in the storage unit he was hidden in. It turns out, society advanced 1,000 times faster after discovering the secret to table technology, and have taken to the stars. He is left to adjust in the new futuristic society, the Tabler's Imperium. However, everywhere he looks he is reminded of his dark past. The man, in spite of the tables, devises a plan to rise up the ranks in the imperial government and stop the reign of tables. After solving the mystery of Rouge Table Mafia bosses, he earns a name for himself and earns a seat at the table of government. However, he still has a long way to go. At this time, the man starts to investigate the supreme table leader's identity, as he has never been seen in public. As he climbs the table of the Tabler's Imperium, he encounters more clues and leads, and a mystery starts to come together. like a table being built at a table factory. He finally meets face to face with the supreme table leader, and is shocked to find out that it was the other man all along. The other man tells him the true history of the Tabler's Imperium, and the dark truth about table power. They fight and the man narrowly escapes after being detained by table bots. The man finds a safe place with other refugees who know the truth. The entire spacecraft was on red alert, and all table bots were searching for him. He sneaks back into the storage unit to find his cryo unit has a secret storage of matches. Fire was outlawed in table society. The man, in one more valiant effort, lights the matches and throws them at the other man, who catches on fire and burns, revealed to have been a table the entire time. The whole spacecraft catches on fire and crumbles, and the man with the survivors watch from an escape pod as they drift off into space. The Tabler's Imperium was never heard of again. The Man and the Table Factory, Part 5,318,008. In The Man and the Table Factory, Part 5,318,008, the man has been transported back in time to the Stone Age, and is dead set on his mission of stopping tables from being invented. After his accident at the table factory, the man has decided to start a new life and move to Florida. Unfortunately for him, he trips and falls into a time machine and is brought back to the Stone Age. He realizes that this is a time before tables were invented and rejoices, but then he thinks about this opportunity. The man is going to make sure that tables were never invented. After meeting up with the local caveman population, he gains a new friend, Neil the Neanderthal, who plays the bone xylophone really well. They set out on a quest to warn the other tribes about tables. They faced many threats along the way, big-toothed cats, woolly mammoths, giant birds, but they prevailed. Neil with his musical prowess created hymns and poems about the man and the evil tables, but mostly about the man. Then they heard the news, a new invention, something practical, with 4 legs, can hold things on top of it, and they took off to stop them. Once they got to the advanced village, they were horrified. Tables were everywhere. The Neanderthals who lived there kidnapped them because of their table sacrilege, and would not listen to the man's reason or Neil's hymns. Then when all hope seemed lost, the man realized something he had and the Stone Age humans didn't: he could create fire. The man and Neil lit the village ablaze, and piled the tables high, which after the word spread, would save the world from inventing tables. The man and Neil watch the fire burn as they cry. The man has to go back to the present now. He says his goodbyes and the man steps back into the hidden time machine and disappears. In the present, the other man appears in the man's room late at night. He laughs darkly and explains that tables will never be destroyed. He leaves the man one gift on his doorstep before he leaves, an unbuilt IKEA table. To be continued. The Man and His Pet, the Wolfbeast Plus Review. In the story of The Man and His Pet, the Wolfbeast, we are shown the mundane life of the man before the table factory incident, as well as his pet, the Wolfbeast. The man and the Wolfbeast are very good friends, mostly because they both have disorders that they should see somebody about, but still. The man and the Wolfbeast watch movies together and howl at the moon like furries. The Wolfbeast taught the man how to kill snakes, and the man taught the Wolfbeast how to burn down table factories. Unfortunately for them, the man died in the table factory fire, and the POV switches to his pet, the Wolfbeast. Distraught, the Wolfbeast goes to his grave and sleeps there for 5 days and 5 nights, and when the wolf wakes up, it is surprising to see that the other man was there. The other man gives the Wolfbeast the spiel about the light and dark, but the Wolfbeast doesn't care, so it mauls him to death. The Wolfbeast, now pissed off, goes on a murder spree and inadvertently becomes the most recognized cryptid in Washington. The Wolfbeast goes to the White House and sings them a little song, and then they all rip their ears off because the Wolfbeast can't sing for shit. Wolfbeast's own new song just came out. President Obama arrives out of the White House and calls animal control. They come and catch the Wolfbeast and bring it to the pound. There it meets a dog named Nam. It turns out Nam was the reincarnation of the man and he wanted revenge on the table factory. They go to the factory and burn it down again for good measure. The end. After the credits, it is revealed that it was all a hallucination by the man from the toxic fumes of the table fire. He promptly burns to death. Review. As a connoisseur of many Man and the Table Factory projects, I feel that this latest edition is lacking in the face of the other sequels. For one, it feels strange to introduce the new character of the Wolfbeast, especially so since it was a character taken from another story without permission of the author. I also think that the Wolfbeast wasn't characterized well at all, reducing it to a murderous beast where in the original story it had much more depth. I wish the author of this story utilized the parallels between the man and the Wolfbeast, as I think that would have been a very interesting read. I do like the references of snakes to the Wolfbeast, though. It was like the few good references to the original Wolfbeast. Also, I'm pretty sure the scene in the beginning was a joke or something, because if not I am very confused. This was set before the incident, right? I will say that the perspective swap was interesting at least. It allowed us to see the world outside of the man's perspective a little more, even if it was tainted by the Wolfbeast's glaring issues. The timeline is a little confusing to me. Is this the man dead? When exactly did he get the job at the table factory? How long did he work there before the incident? And much more, including whatever the hell the other man is doing this time, though the man and the table factory has always had trouble with keeping a linear timeline of events. The introduction of Obama as an impactful character, even if short-lived, was insanely funny, and it also gives us a reasonable time frame of what year the story takes place, which in many of the other stories is only vaguely mentioned by references. The mention, Wolfbeast's bone, is an allusion to the Magnus archives, which is very interesting if you consider the implication of the fear entities existing in the Man and the Table Factory extended universe, which may be a theory worth expanding on. That is not for today though. The Wolfbeast being sent to the pound by Obama was seemingly a parallel to the Wolfbeast's original story, but the man being reincarnated as the dog Nam was certainly a surprise to me. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about the reincarnation of the man, especially because of how many contradictions it causes in the already broken timeline, though reincarnation is certainly being added to the theory board of the man's whereabouts with the table factory incident. Speaking of that, I don't like the direction this series is taking for the man's feelings about the incident, reducing him to a shell of anger as well. The man has far deeper emotions about tables and fires than what was shown, and I really wish that the author would write them with more depth because we know it's there. As for the extra scene at the end where it was all revealed to be a heat and fume-induced hallucination, while it does answer questions, and maybe just disproves my reincarnation theories as well, I think it was a little anticlimactic. It wasn't even alluded to in the actual story at all as being a hallucination. I think that the author wrote all of this, realized how badly it sucked, and decided to retcon it all at the last moment. Which, cheap. I will consider the man's state of mind throughout the series, though, as he is definitely not stable at all, and that could explain some more of the weird parts of the story. And also it being a nod to the Wolfbeast, it being an illusion of the man's brain as mind state, as certain metaphors were in the Wolfbeast's original story. All in all, I'm going to have to rate the man and his pet, the Wolfbeast, 5 out of 10 tables. While I do enjoy the new perspectives on the man's story, and really hope more is done with that in the future. Actually, this addition to the man's story had a lot of problems, as is unfortunately becoming more common among the recent editions. I am hopeful, however, that the author will be able to tie this table fire of a story together somehow. So for now, have a nice day and I'll see you for the next book report.